I went to him. He didn't recruit me.
Okay.
I was like, hey, I want to join the Marine Corps. And he's like, whoa, like, slow down. Like, why? What are you running from? Like, what kind of trouble are you in?
Right.
I was like, no, I just want to be in the Marines. For like 3 weeks, it was really weird. We were there for 2 months, and all we did was find IEDs. And then all of a sudden, one day, we were firefighting. And we did that for like 3 weeks straight, every single day.
Did you lose any close friends to you? I know you had some casualties in that unit, but
Yeah, I lost a few good buddies. That's where I lost most of my buddies. I mean, don't get me wrong, I lost a few good friends in Afghanistan, and really where I've lost my good friends is suicide. Most people just want to throw pills at them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, when I work with them, it's almost like they're a problem. That Marine, that soldier, that cop, that firefighter's still in there.
Yep.
Still ready to do work, because they are. They're still in there. That person's not gone. It's just covered up by a bunch of lies. You have these war fighters, these elite warrior SF dudes, turn into the biggest pussies when they get around a horse. Like, you'll see them like,
yeah.
it's like, dude, like, you're a bullet catcher. You're fine. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, get up there and touch that animal. He's going to know when you're scared. So you just kind of get in that mentality, like, I got to get this. I got to get this. You know, you do get brainwashed in there. You get brainwashed to a point where it's your career, then it's your family. So if you're in and you're serving, or you're a first responder, please take this to heart. Focus on your family. It's the most important thing that you have.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I don't know if you're recording or not. Is it good? We're good to go? All right. I'm sitting here with Chris McCafferty. He's born in Medford, Oregon. His dad's a state trooper. He's been married for 14 years and has 3 kids. Great kids. Graduated from Glide High School, correct, Glide?
Yep.
And went to boot camp in 2008 in the Marine Corps. Chris did 3 deployments, 1 a MEU and 2 combat. And then he became a instructor at the Mountain Warfare Base in Bridgeport, California, and did 4 years of teaching a variety of skills, but mainly animal packing and horsemanship. And Chris is currently, are you almost finished with your plumbing?
Yep. Just waiting for some hours and I'll test out.
Okay, good. Be a journeyman plumber. So we're just here to talk about how we got started with this whole thing and Frontline Outfitting. And can you first of all just tell me about growing up as a state trooper's kid? What was that like?
It wasn't like most kids, I bet. I was kind of under a microscope and I was expected to perform. I had expectations, and my dad held me to them. And I really believe that kind of helped propel my success in the Marine Corps, because a lot of people don't know, but the Oregon State Troopers was founded by an ex-Marine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I may have heard that, but I don't remember that. So
like the way he was kind of structured, because him and my mom were divorced. I grew up with my dad. So he had expectations, and if you didn't meet those, there was consequences.
Did your dad was he a SWAT guy or did he do dope or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
he did undercover for quite a few years. When he retired, he was captain of the criminal division.
Okay.
But yeah, he did undercover, I think, for 3 or 4 years.
Okay. No desire to be a state trooper?
He told me not to be. He said it's getting weak.
Yeah.
And not to do it.
Okay. And when did your dad retire?
So that probably, I was a little kid. I would say it in the 90s. Maybe, it was definitely 90s.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so you went to Glide High School.
I did.
Yeah. That's quite a ways from K Falls though, right? More Medford or?
It's like 20 minutes west of Roseburg.
Oh, Roseburg, that's right. Okay. Cool.
Or east of Roseburg, I mean.
What propelled you to join the Marine Corps and enlist?
Well, ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be an Army guy. I didn't really know about the Marine Corps. I just knew that G.I. Joes were awesome and like Chuck Norris, you know. And John Claude Van Damme, like all those guys, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be one of those. And then my brother joined the Marine Corps. And then once I learned about the Marine Corps, I knew that if I joined any other branch, I would never live it down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the Marine Corps. And I had my mind made up as a freshman in high school. That's what I was going to do, which kind of screwed me over because I was like, I don't need no college. I'm going in the Marine Corps. Screw school. And I barely made it out of school to get into the Marine Corps. So,
Where did you have was there a recruitment down there, like a recruiter office, or?
yeah, he was in Roseburg, and I went to him. He didn't recruit me.
Okay.
I was like, hey, I want to join the Marine Corps. And he's like, whoa, like, slow down. Like, why? What are you running from? Like, what kind of trouble are you in?
Right.
I was like, no, I just want to be in the Marines. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be a grunt. And he was like, are you sure? And he tried to talk me out of it. I was like, no, like, that's what I want to do. And then I did my ASVAB and my IST. I passed all that. And I was in the DEP as a junior in high school. So I got in a little bit of trouble. I got held back a year. So I graduated when I was 19.
Okay.
But I joined the DEP when I was 18.
Okay.
So I had the recruiter up my ass all the time.
Gotcha.
So he's the one that pretty much helped me graduate.
Good. A little motivation.
Absolutely.
Where did you go to basic?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay. How was that? Did you enjoy it or?
I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like, obviously nobody really enjoys boot camp. It does suck. But I was really let down. I remember it must have been like week 9 or 10. We were about ready to do the crucible and become Marines. And I remember being kind of let down. Like, that's all it was. Like, this is all it took. But I also think back, because I watched some guys struggle. Like, It was bad for them. But it was the way my dad raised me. I was always in trouble because I was laughing all the time. I always thought it was funny. So I was always on the quarterdeck getting IT'd and just laughing. It was a comical show for me.
Yeah.
It's one of the, there's a few things that I did in the Marine Corps that was the most fun, miserable thing that I'd never want to do again, but it was awesome. And that was boot camp.
What do you think about? I think about that because I talk to my kids a lot about it, doing hard stuff.
I think it's great because it really shows you what you're capable of and how your mind really controls everything. Mm-hmm. It's not really your body. Like, your body's 10%. And as long as you know that your body can withstand a lot of miserable stuff, and I know that just from experience.
Yeah.
And as long as you can get that mindset, anything hard, like, you almost look forward to it to a certain extent. Like, obviously, when you're in it, you're like, ugh.
Sucks.
But if you can have that mindset of thinking, when I get on the other side of this, when I face something like this again, it's going to be a breeze.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't do any time in the military. I played football in college, but nothing compared to that. But I always, embrace that mindset with my kids, and I buy them shirts that say "Embrace the suck,"
Absolutely.
because I don't have that experience with that, but going through academies and stuff and law enforcement training and things that are hard, But no, I think that's a great attribute to have, if you can, especially when you can push yourself like that.
Right.
It's good. What did you do? So you go through boot camp, and then where'd you go after that?
So then I went to the School of Infantry, the Infantry Training Battalion in San Diego, or not Paris Island, holy cow, Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
I was there for 2 months, and then got stationed in North Carolina. So like ITB is like your MOS school, if you will. So like you do a month of 11s training, and then if you're 11, the next month you go more in depth into what like an actual 0311 will do, which is a basic infantryman.
Okay.
And then everyone else breaks off. So you get your specialty MOS is machine gunners, mortarmen, assaultmen, and tow gunners. And they all go off for a month and practice their craft. So you have an idea of what's going on when you get to the fleet. And then once you get there, that's when you really start learning.
Okay. Did you have an idea what you wanted to do when you went to that, or did you?
I knew I wanted to be a mortarman.
Okay.
Just because my brother told me that. He's like, you don't want to be an 11. They're always running, and you don't want to be a machine gunner because they carry super heavy stuff. You want to be an 81, and you just sit around and be lazy. It's awesome. I didn't become an 81. I became a 60s guy. So I did everything the 11s did, but I just carried way more weight.
Yeah.
So, but it was the best thing ever.
That's awesome. Cool. What about, when did you go on your first deployment? Or
That was, I want to say right at when did Haiti happen? The earthquake in Haiti, 2010, right?
yeah, I think so.
That was my first deployment. We were actually set to be in Afghanistan, but then the earthquake happened, so we got rerouted because we were the active mule in that area. So we went down there and set up a humanitarian aid station, and then the 26th mule, I was on the 23rd or the 24th, and the 26th mule ended up getting called back, and they ended up going to Haiti and relieving us, and then we pushed back and didn't end up going to Afghanistan, but we just went and did various training with different countries.
Okay. What was I like?
That deployment made me realize how good Americans have it. Especially when I was in Djibouti, Africa. Mm-hmm. And I'm literally looking at people living in rock huts that they've stacked up, almost like kids would do for a fort,
Right.
and play in. Like, these people lived in it. And it was a super gut check when I was hiking up a mountain, and an old lady, probably in her 50s, wearing flip-flops passed me, carrying a big basket on her head. I was like, wow. But it just, again, it shows you what your body can go through, and what sucky conditions you can live in and thrive. All those people are happy.
Yeah. Wow.
But then being able to shower, being able to just even look in a mirror.
Right.
People take so much for granted. They have no clue how good we really have it. They want to complain about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you come back stateside for that, or did you guys move on from there? Or
So at the end of it, we ended up sailing back to Norfolk, Virginia. That's where we sailed out of. That was an 8-month deployment.
Okay. And then when what'd you do in that time frame before your next deployment?
We just did a workup. Got back, went on post-deployment leave, and came back, got a new boot drop, and started training, getting ready for the next mission.
Okay.
That's all you do. You deploy, come back, refit, start training.
Yeah. Okay. When did you get orders to go? Where was your next?
So it was really weird how it worked out for me. Usually you're in a unit for like 18 months to 2 years. I was in 1-9 for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And I just stayed there. So, which actually benefited me because I never had to prove myself again. Everybody knew. So like when a new officer or a new staff NCO came, all the other staff NCOs and officers was like, hey, McCafferty's good to go. Like, if you need any type of indirect fire or fire missions or anything like that, go to him. Trust him. Like, he's a master of his craft. Versus where a lot of my friends, when we got split up, they were going to new units and having to reprove themselves.
Gotcha.
Like, yeah, I'm worthy. But I never had to do that. And it benefited me in my career. Helped me get meritorious promotions and NAMs and good write-ups.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know you told me one time, and I don't remember where it ever fell in, but were you a firearms instructor or range instructor at some point, or was that later on?
I was a coach.
Oh, okay.
So, so you have PMIs, there's primary marksmanship instructors, and they're dedicated to the range. But then the battalion will send people to a coach's course. It's like a 3-week, how to shoot a gun course and how to teach people how to shoot and diagnose problems and help them fix it. And then you're a coach for the battalion. So when we go to the rifle range, I would not qual. I'd just be there helping people hit paper.
Yeah. That's pretty good, because nowadays, for like in law enforcement, we do a 40-hour, pistol course or rifle course, and then you're off to training people. But 3 weeks is a long time, so
right.
Pretty in depth probably then.
It was. A lot of it is like, because a lot of people that join the Marine Corps never shot a gun, probably even seen one in person.
Yeah. And
you got to be able to, as the Marine Corps would say, break it down Barney style so people can understand it. So it's all like body mechanics and positions and how to support your weapon.
Yeah.
Not so much like shooting, really. It's just more of positions for shooting.
Weapon manipulation,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's good. Cool. Then what happened? Then what
So
did
then
you do after that?
Then I did a combat deployment. That was 2011 to Afghanistan in the Helmand province. We hung out there for 6.5 months.
Busy time too there.
That first deployment really wasn't too bad. It actually really wasn't bad at all. I don't think we had really any casualties that first one. I think there might have been one or two. It was a pretty quiet deployment. It was pretty boring. We really only got in it for like 3 weeks. It was really weird. We were there for 2 months, and all we did was find IEDs. And then all of a sudden, one day, we were firefighting. And we did that for like 3 weeks straight, every single day. And the rest of the deployment, nothing. No IEDs, no nothing. It was really like, I can't wait to get out of here. My second deployment, though, was totally different. It was like full bore all the time. And that's when we got all our casualties, was that last deployment, which sucked.
Did how often were you having to do? Would you go outside the wire and do patrols, or what was it? What did that look like?
So the first deployment, we just went and set up just a forward base. So like each company went out and made their main base, and then the platoons went out and they made their little cops. And we just patrolled out of there, so did satellite patrols between all of us, and just kept the area clean, kept the locals from getting harassed. And my second deployment, we were based out of Leatherneck the whole time. We just did helo ops. And we did that for about 4 months, 3 months. And then that's when we really started drawing back our forces. So then we just started doing vehicle patrols and foot patrols outside the wire of Leatherneck. And that's actually, we did a lot of helo missions, and we were getting into some pretty crazy stuff. And we only had one guy get shot, and that was in the foot. And we had one guy like trip over his dog and break his leg. That poor kid. He was that guy. I'm not going to say his name in case he watches it, but he'll know who I'm talking about. And but when we went to the base and started doing our vehicle patrols, we were breaking down all the bases out there, so everyone started coming to us and really getting after us. And that's when things got pretty wild for us.
Because your base was one of the last ones.
Yeah, it was this Leatherneck.
Okay.
And like we were breaking everything down. So
Right.
like it was almost like we were asking them to come.
Right.
Because we had nothing in between to break them up. And they were getting really crafty and ballsy with their tactics. Like we had one vehicle get hit not even a half a mile outside of Leatherneck. Those guys are so crafty.
What did you mostly encounter? Like small arms fire?
Yeah, it was
or
usually
just-
like we hit an IED, and then maybe some RPGs might roll our way. Usually small and medium arms fire.
Yeah.
Usually last, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and it was over with. Especially once you got air on station, they quit playing. They don't want to play anymore. But when we were doing our Halo missions and we were actually going out to spots that we knew they were storing stuff, like we'd be, 5 to 10 hours of like real hooking and jabbing.
Yeah.
Like, oof.
Yeah. Wow. Did you lose any close friends to you? I know you had some casualties in that unit, but
Yeah, I lost a few good buddies. Yeah. I don't know if you ever heard about the Hawthorne accident back in 2000.
was it a helo or
No, we were in Hawthorne, Nevada training, and it was a mortar accident. And a mortar round blew up in the tube, and it wounded 8 Marines and killed 6. Like that. That's where I lost like most of my buddies, and it was in a training accident that totally could have been prevented. We should have never been there. But
how common or uncommon is that for a mortar to.
It's not very common.
Yeah.
It should have never happened. It was a total failure on higher ups and everything. Like, should never happen.
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
By the way, because there was an investigation put out. Like, it was such a big deal that, from what I heard, don't know if this is true, but even the guys in country couldn't shoot 60s for a while until that investigation got done, because they weren't sure really what happened in the the result of the investigation was a double feed. So we had a round in the tube. They were shooting in the handheld, and another round went on it. And as soon as that primer's hit, that head is armed, and it smacked right into the bottom of that, and then blew up the tube, which made that a giant pipe bomb as well.
Wow.
So that's where I lost most of my buddies. I mean, don't get me wrong, I lost a few good friends in Afghanistan, and really where I've lost my good friends is a suicide.
After you guys got back, or
after
you got out, you were.
One guy committed suicide. I wouldn't call him a good buddy, but he was definitely a guy I'd hang out with on the weekends and stuff. But he committed suicide when he was still in. We were actually up in Bridgeport training as a unit, and but most of my buddies have committed suicide after they've been out. It's pretty shitty.
It is. It's hard.
Yeah, these guys need help, and most people just want to throw pills at them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually want to work with them. It's almost like they're a problem. Like, here, just take these, you'll feel better. Let's get numb.
Yeah.
Versus actually trying to do something with them, make them go through some type of adversity, wake them back up, and let them know, like, you can deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm excited for this program. I think
yeah.
I think there'll be opportunities to make it a really cush trip or make it a miserable trip. Like, what do you want? What are you trying to get out of this?
Right.
You trying to wake yourself up again? Let you know, that Marine, that soldier, that cop, that firefighter is still in there.
Yep.
Still ready to do work. Because they are. They're still in there. That person's not gone. This is covered up by a bunch of lies.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many out there that just feel that way.
Yeah. Just feel like
trying
they're
to mask the feelings, and yeah, it's hard to describe.
It is. It's something you really have to experience to understand.
Yep. Yeah, it's and I agree with, taking someone. Do they want to crack the can open while we do this, or will it be something that's going to be, just give them that peace for a minute too, because sometimes the storm's going on inside your body. That I know there's days where I've had that, where it's better just to enjoy the moment than to feel the rage,
Right.
So, yeah, that's a great concept about that. But did you, when did you get to the mountain warfare base?
I got there in 2014. And it was actually a battle for me to get there. So
because 2010 was the Nevada, or 11 or not?
No, 2010 was my first deployment.
Okay.
And then I did a deployment 2011. And then another one from 2012 to 13. I'm sorry, no, it was just 2013, because I went up to Bridgeport February 2013. And I went through the Scout Skier course, and I was the honor grad out of it, and I fell in love with that place.
Did you say Scout Skier?
Scout Skiers course.
Did you have to know how to ski?
They taught you.
So you were skiing?
If you want to call it that. I was surviving on skis, because, man, they put you in these Mickey Mouse boots on these.
Oh, those are the pump up ones that.
Well, they're big.
Yeah.
And they have like the
little
ball on the
ball
side
valve on them.
when you get up at top, and then you're skiing on these things called Asneys, and they're a double cambered straight wall, like
super skinny.
Maybe 70 underfoot, and it's like 220 and you just have this little cable and you're clicked in with a little strap. It's a very comical thing. Once you figure out how to ski, to watch other people. When you're learning, it's not comical at all. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. Because I'm one of those people that can pick anything up, and I was not picking it up. I was getting really, really butthurt.
Chris is getting remedial training on skiing.
No, I did. I failed at a ski technique and had to do remedial training. That was the first time I ever had to do that. And that was a blow. I was a young corporal, super motivated. But I ended up getting honor grad out of that course. And Staff Sergeant Quintana Luna at the time told me that I should request to come up here, and he would help me get up there. So I went on my deployment, came back, and I called the monitor, and he's like, "No, you're not going. You're only a corporal, or you're only a sergeant. You're a brand new sergeant. You're not going up there yet. You need to go do other things." And I kept calling him, and then finally he caved and he sent me, and that was the best thing that ever happened for me. Maybe not my marriage. At the time I didn't see it because I was having fun. Mm-hmm. But that time in Bridgeport, there's a saying in Bridgeport that you either get divorced or have babies. And I've been out of the Marine Corps for 7 years, and I have an 8-year-old. So we had a baby. But we also had a miscarriage during that time too. That was to me, it was it was really hard, and I didn't want to talk to my wife about it, which now looking back at it, I realized that wasn't the smart thing to do. And I mean, at Bridgeport, you're deployed. Like, my first year there was nothing but courses. I was gone all the time. So you just kind of get in that mentality, like, I got to get this. You know, and you do get brainwashed in there. You get brainwashed to a point where it's your career, then it's your family. And I ate that up with a spoon, and totally neglected that time in my life where my wife actually really needed me. And looking back, I wish I would have had my head a little more straight and not been worried about being the best Marine on the mountain. That was my drive. Like, I wanted everyone to be like, "Oh, McCafferty." And I just totally neglected my family in that point.
Yeah. Well, they don't, you know, historically, I'm not saying the armed forces are the same as, you know, the public sector and fire and police, but I think that there's a stigma that, because a lot of those were, you know, paramilitary programs coming up, and I think a lot of that, I worked for someone one time, and his old saying was, family's number one, work's number two. And he would say that to people. And, but I think you just, you know, people in that job and that public servant or protector or whatever is trying to, not to be cliche, but be the best you can be, you know? Yeah. I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to, you know, produce the best Marines out of my school that I was teaching. I just wanted everything to be the best. And, you know, we as a family dealt with a lot in Bridgeport. Me being gone all the time, the miscarriage, and my daughter. And my daughter ended up having multiple birth defects, and she had open heart surgery when we were there. And she had spinal cord surgery while we were there. Luckily, like, I was able to take leave and be present in that, but even looking back at it, I still wasn't present. Like, yeah, I was there physically, but mentally I wasn't. I was too busy worried about the Marine Corps. Yeah. And, like, that also ruffled a lot of feathers with the command that I was with, because this lady, a friend of ours from high school, started a GoFundMe page for us because, you know, like, yeah, the Marine Corps we had TRICARE, but they're not paying for your lodging and stuff. You know, and the way that the command took it was like she was saying, hey, the Marine Corps isn't taking care of these people. Like, help them out. Mm-hmm. But the way she worded it, I didn't see it that way. But that ruffled a lot, so I was really worried about that and not being present. I was just so worried about my career, you know? And that's one thing that a lot of civilians don't realize. Like, you know, oh yeah, they have PTSD, but you know, even people that aren't in the combat role, that are, you know, pushing papers or fighting fires or, you know, being doctors, like they have the same mentality I did. I want to be the best. I want to get promoted. I want to get that award.
Yeah.
You know, I want to win the next board. You know, most of them are anyways. Mm-hmm. And so their family gets put on the back burner.
Yep.
And that is why there's so much divorce.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe my wife put up with all the, you know, because we got married so young.
Yeah.
She was 19.
Resiliency.
I was 21, and we got married in November, and I think we found out she was pregnant in like February.
Yeah.
And then I deployed while she's pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, finding out all these things, all this birth defect stuff. We thought she was going to have spinal bifida and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
I ended up coming home early from that deployment with the Red Cross message. But yeah, and it's just, people don't realize like what, you know, first responders and whatnot go through. Mm-hmm. You know, it's such a heavy weight on the families.
It is.
Not being around for your kids, or, you know, not being able to turn it off when you come home. Like, don't lie to yourself. Well, I leave work at work and home. No, you don't.
Yeah.
If you're fighting with your wife at home, you're bringing it to work.
Yeah.
If you had a bad day at work, you're bringing it home, which is probably going to start a fight with your wife that you're going to take back to work and have another shitty day with. Yeah. And then you just have this huge domino effect.
Yeah. I've done it myself many a time.
Yep.
For sure. It's a hard, you know, and then you throw in if it's shift work and you don't have days off when your kids got their things, or, I mean, half the time I thought my kids never knew when their real birthday was or when the real Thanksgiving was, because we always celebrated on a different day, or, you know, you just had to fit it in whenever you could because dad's got to go to work and work night shift tonight or whatever. But,
and then, you know, those moments that you do have with your kids, sometimes they get ruined because you're stressed out and just pissed.
Yep.
And you snap on your kid for being a kid.
Yeah.
It's stupid, man.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yep. I always feel like that when I've gotten a lot better in the last couple of years, but, you know, over the time it would take me 3 or 4 days to get like loosened up on a vacation, and then it would be over.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, I gotta go back to work. Then you're like, Katie could always tell me when I'm the day before I go back to work, it just started the cycle again.
Yeah. You know, and it's really ruined a lot of fun opportunities that I could have taken my family on. Like, not so much anymore, I don't think. We'll find out this summer. Really been praying with God and doing a lot of work with him to help me get better. But get me to go to a concert, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
We could die there.
Right. Right.
It's not going to happen.
I know.
We could.
Yeah.
Want to go to a movie? Nope. Someone could come in that door and I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. I could die there. Stupid. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And if it does, you're going to flip the switch.
And then something like Nevada happens or Vegas. I'm like, see, that's why we can't go.
Yeah.
Because that one incident.
Yeah.
Luckily, I honestly feel like I've made leaps and bounds over this past year. I think my head's going to be in a better spot.
Good. Good, because we need you for these rides.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you squeaked your way when you broke down that commander or whoever to get into the warfare base, what?
So when you get orders to a base, they have a receiving roster of people that are going to be coming. And the staff NCOIC of the time of the animal packing course called me. And he's like, hey, do you have any equine experience? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, what kind of experience do you have? I was like, I grew up riding horses. He said, oh, cool. You're going to come straight to me. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. And I knew he was going to be a tough guy, like hard to please, because one of the last things he asked me when we got the phone, he was all excited. He's like, hey, wait a second. He's like, you're not fat, are you? I was like, no. He's like, okay, good. So usually when you go to Bridgeport, you go to ops, you go to mountain ops, which is like just training battalions. And you usually go there for, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe a year if you're really good. And then you get the chance to go to a specialty school. So you can go to scout skiers, assault climbers. You can go to summer mountain leaders, winter mountain leaders. You can go to soft horsemanship. You can go to animal packers. And I got lucky. I got there and I went straight to animal packers just because I had the experience. And went through all my courses. So I went through summer, I went through winter, and I went through animal packing, and I went through horsemanship. And I got my red hat, so I was able to teach. And I was actually able to instruct animal packing for almost 3 years straight.
Awesome.
Yeah. I got to train a lot of people. I got to meet a lot of cool people. And then I jumped from animal packing and went to soft horsemanship and taught that. So I got to teach special forces how to ride horses. Never ridden horses before. And that's one of the funniest things to see. You have these war fighters, these elite warrior SF dudes turn into the biggest pussies when they get around a horse. Like, you'll see them like,
yeah.
It's like, dude, like, you're a bullet catcher. You're fine. Like,
Yeah.
come on, get up there and touch that animal. He's going to know when you're scared. And we used to have this mule named Alice, and she used to mess students up. She could smell the fear on them. She'd bite at them and give them a run for their money. But by the time those guys get out of that course, their butts are sore. I wouldn't call them horsemen. They can survival ride, but they could go to country. They can acquire animals, local animals, and they know what to look for. We teach them how to sort animals, what to look for, problems, how to kind of read the mindset of the horse. And we teach them how to make saddles, primitive saddles, because those animals over there, they're not used to our stuff.
Yeah.
And they're a lot smaller, so a lot of our stuff won't even fit. So we teach them how to make sawbucks out of pallets.
Oh, wow.
Packing is really just limited to your imagination as long as you're not hurting the animal.
Right.
And it works and it's balanced. That's all you need, tight and balanced.
That's awesome.
And all the SF guys, when they get done, they're like, man, if we would have had this course, we actually had a team that came through, I want to say 3 times when I was there. They enjoyed that course so much, and they just benefited every time they came through. But the first time they came through, we teach a hitch called a Decker diamond, and it's for a body. So you throw the body over and you tie a Decker diamond, whether it be for your buddy that, got killed or an HVT that you're trying to identify. And they gave us a picture and a plaque that said, if only we knew then. And they had a guy draped over a little donkey, and they were walking beside him trying to keep him balanced. But if they would have known the hitch, they could have had 2 extra guys for security.
Sure. Jeez. What I want to talk more about what you did at Bridgeport, but I'm just curious, like an off topic is, can't remember the time frame, but did anything ever come about, or was it already in place when 12 Strong, kind of that whole, did anybody come through Bridgeport with SF that anything when that was at Afghanistan, did anybody had any experience coming through the warfare packing school versus before they went there? Just out of pure luck?
So from my understanding, no one had been through that course at that point of time when those guys were riding. Mm-hmm. But the commander had horse experience.
Gotcha.
So he kind of gave his guys, a very, very, very down and dirty, like go, stop, left, right, don't fall off, type of deal. But the guy that wrote the program and started the course is retired Master Sergeant Anthony Parkhurst. He passed away last October. A great man, great horseman. And he wrote that whole program as a Master Sergeant, got out, and as a civilian ran it.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, he did tell a story about how that commander came through the course later on and was like, man, this is awesome. And he actually gave Tony, pointers. From my understanding, like I'm saying, I don't know, don't quote me on this. I know there's going to be people out there trying to debunk. So I'm saying I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, he came through, or he talked to him, and he said that was one of the greatest courses ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of people don't know this, but we've used equine in every single war in America's history. We're still using them today. Like, how do you think all that water gets up in those mountains for those guys?
Yeah.
It's donkeys. May not be a horse or a mule, but it's a donkey.
Yeah. Dude, did we ever at any time, would we ever fly any of our stuff anywhere, any of our equine anywhere?
It'd die. You can't take them from this environment and go throw them in that.
Okay.
I mean, you could, but it'd be a logistical nightmare with feed and whatnot. It's just better to get over there and acquire the animals that are used to that environment.
Gotcha. Wow. So how did you end up, like, instructor-wise at the mountain warfare base? First of all, where's in Bridgeport? What is the elevation there at? Is it Sierra Nevadas, right?
Yes. So base camp, the main base, I believe it's 6,700 feet.
Okay.
And I think the highest elevation is Sonora Pass. I think it's 11.2 or 10.2.
Okay.
So you definitely get over 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
Like you definitely get, some Marines, like if you have sickle cell, you ain't training, you're going to die.
Wow.
And, it's really funny, sickle cell and G6PD is pretty much the same thing, right? So we say G6PD and usually it's in African Americans. And that's one question I always asked at the beginning of the course. Anybody hell have G6PD? No, nobody raised their hand. All right, cool. Let's move on. Do our first movement, and we get hour and a half, 2 hours into it, and we're taking a break. And I'm looking at this Marine, and he is sweat. I've never seen somebody sweat such big dots. Like they looked like
raindrops.
Yeah, they were huge. I'm like, and he's having trouble breathing, and like he's getting pale. I'm like, what is going on with you? I'm like, you don't have G6PD or sickle cell, do you? He's like, oh, I have sickle cell. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's the same thing, dude. So got him off the mountain and down the lower elevation. He was fine. But it was the best training ever.
How many head of horses usually, or mules are there on site?
So
on any given day?
Roughly, I'm going to say when I was there, it was 65 to 78. We usually had like 25 horses and probably, 35, 40 mules. So.
And what's the, like you said, Jess and Lonesome never packed, but
right.
Zip did. But did Trigger ever pack?
No.
Okay. So they were they were just been ridden.
Yeah. They're just dude horses.
Yeah. Okay. And where'd a lot of these horses come from? I mean,
the Carson prison.
Lonesome to Mustangs. So
yeah, they come from the Carson prison, most of them, believe it or not. So the Carson State Prison has a equine program where they go out and they bring wild Mustangs in, and they have civilian trainers and the inmates. Mm-hmm. They go and train. They usually put about 60 days on the horses, and you can go pick them up for about $500 to $1,000, just depending.
Yeah.
We usually got them for $500 because we're in, the Marine Corps.
Right.
But we usually got all the mules out of Montana, out of Hell's Aurora Outfitters.
A lot of those are Belgian cross, right? I mean, a lot of I've seen on the YouTube videos.
Yeah, so we had a couple different strings. We had some strings of Belgians, and then we had strings of Reds and stuff, different size for different, movements. Like we know the training area, so we're like, hey, we can't take those big blondies up here, but if we do that, you can't carry as much weight. Those animals are amazing. They can carry a third of their body weight.
That's crazy.
But the best pack animal is a human being. We can carry 50% of our body weight for a very long time.
It's true. Yeah, I'm always just fascinated by those horses that came out of there. Like, I just wondered like what Jess was doing before he showed up at the Mountain Warfare Base. And
Oh, he's hanging out on pasture getting fat. But that's
how old was he, do you think, when he was picked up?
I think Tony got him when he was 8.
Okay. Wow.
And that's another awesome thing about being a part of that cadre is they send you to shoeing school. So the Marine Corps pays you
Wow.
and pays for your shoeing school. And you go to Priscilla, Oklahoma, and you do 2 weeks there. Because it's a lot cheaper to train a Marine and pay for his schooling than it is to pay a farrier to come out and shoe,
I can imagine.
60, 70 animals.
Right.
Not to mention if an animal throws a shoe on the trail, which happens all the time because it's so rocky, you got to be able to tack that shoe back on.
Does the Marine Corps have do they have a vet that's enlisted, or do they use a vet there?
So we use the Air Force vets
Okay.
and Army vets. Usually, the way we try to work it is when the SF cadres came through, we'd try and get an SF vet because usually, they have dogs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But with this program and how special operations we were trying to get everything to work out, we brought in small animal vets to learn large animal vet stuff. And we'd always have one of them attached just to the special forces courses. Mm-hmm. And then we'd do every 6 months, we'd do vaccinations and blood draws and floating. So we'd only float once a year, but we floated every 6 months. So we'd do the mules on 1 6-month checkup, and then we'd do the horses the other 6 months. And you had to have a vet on site. And usually those were, I'm pretty positive they were from the Air Force.
Yeah, I just enjoyed going through those files on the horses we have and just reading about them. And
those animals are so well kept.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys mistreat those animals. I'm like, yeah, right. We spend upwards to $300,000 a year just on feed.
Yeah.
For these guys. We buy them special certified weed-free hay.
Yeah.
They're vaccinated and checked every 6 months. They get floated every year, like top-notch care.
Yeah. Jessup's been amazing. He's a half Percheron, half quarter horse. Just, my God, he's amazing going up and down those hills. Yeah, he's so sure-footed.
He was one of my go-tos there. And then Tony really realized I knew how to ride. He's like, he ain't riding those. He's riding those Mustangs we just picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got hurt and got kicked. Well, not kicked out, but med-sepped.
Yeah. What injury did you suffer from?
So I was on a pretty green horse, and a lot of things went south really fast. And in my head, I was cool, calm, and collected, but in reality, I was not. I ended up pulling him back over on top of me, and I was still in the saddle, and crushed my hips. I finished the op, though. I rode for 5 more days afterwards.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And then kept ignoring it. And then one day I was feeding, and I went to kick a hay bale in sideways, and it put me to the ground, and I knew there was something seriously wrong. I was only 27. And then...
What did it fracture your pelvis, or?
No, so I ended up tearing both of my labrums in each hip.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That was, what's that horse's name?
That was Washington.
I thought that was that the one we were going to go down and get with?
We were going to try to.
With the Hondo?
Yep.
Wow. Who was your, do you have a favorite?
Horse?
Favorite horse down there?
It was Trigger. Well, toss up between Trigger and Hondo.
Trigger that we had here, Trigger?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a Mustang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little guy.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I could just sit on his back and ride him with no halter, no nothing. And that's he was my go-to horse for instruction because we would teach the students how to ride bareback before we ever put them in a saddle, so they could learn balance and pressure. And I'd hop on them and ride them with no halter, no nothing. And they'd be like, "How do you do that?" And then I'm like, "How do you not do that? It's so easy." Mm-hmm. Then you got to remember some of these guys have never even owned a goldfish, let alone been around a horse.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a little intimidating for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I have this, I'm sure you saw him, but I have this retired buckskin who's 17-1 from Orange County Sheriff's Office. His name Roy, and he is the biggest puppy dog. But he did the Anaheim riots. He was a riot horse with Orange County Sheriff's Office. And God, he's hilarious and he's amazing too. They just have, they are literally my spirit animal. I mean, I just can't, you can't tell anybody or until we take them out on a ride to get that experience of what it's like to be out in the woods on a horse's back. It's unreal.
Yeah. Just feeling that raw power that they have.
Yeah. It's my therapy for sure. That's why I love what we're doing, because I get to take people out almost every week, every other week maybe. And I ride around here on the property, and that's the best thing.
Yeah. It's all you think about. You're just on that horse, and you're looking around, making sure there's nothing that's going to spook that horse, or you're not going to fall in a hole that the horse doesn't see. And then you end up becoming a team. Yep. Like eventually the horse already knows what you want it to do, and it just does it. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool when you get to that point. Yeah.
Nah, man, we are so thankful for the funny story about, I'll never forget. I don't know if you and Katie must have been talking at church one day, and I'm on my way to Montana. I think I'm on my way home after this crazy wild story hunt that didn't work out. And she called me and said, because I told her I wanted to get horses and I wanted to do this, but they're expensive. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get started. And so she called me and said, I got you horses. got you 4 horses. And I was like, no way. So she'd been talking to you, and it was like 6 months, maybe 6 months after that.
It took a while.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Painful process.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
But, man, we ended up with, and Zip he's crushing it right now with this gal from work who's just poured so much time and effort into him that I couldn't be more thankful for that. But, Jess and Lonesome are, Lonesome usually is carrying the client when we take him out because he's just so easygoing.
Yep.
But, God, it's amazing. I love, that we're taking vets and first responders on rides, and I don't know, it's
on horses that trained.
Oh man,
vets.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool to think about.
Yep. And you're the pivot man on that, man. You made it happen. Like, you don't realize, like, that's what I think is wild. It's kind of an offshoot story, but my dad was in the fire department when I was younger, and this guy that he went to high school with is a bagpiper, and growing up, and that's how I decided I wanted to be a bagpiper. And anyway, long story short, I played his pipes the first time, and then I've been playing since 1997. But the thing about it is, go ahead.
Okay. So amateur baseball player. I didn't know that about you. And then now you're a piper?
Oh, you didn't know I played the pipes?
I didn't know you played the pipes.
Oh, yeah. I've been playing the pipes since 97.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. I'm still a part of Tualatin Valley, but I started playing kind of with Ben Fire recently.
That's so cool.
But it's a huge thing I can do that I love it. It's the most, I don't know. It's one of those, it's a tough comparison with the horse thing, cause I love it so much. But so Ben Herb's this guy's name, who was a chief and stuff, and assistant chief. But the thing about the comparison with the horses and you and making this happen is his inspiration to me as a kid. I played almost 200 funerals in 25 years, or however many years I've been playing. And you touch people's lives by like his influence. So what you have done getting these horses, we couldn't do this. I mean, this would never have been hard to get started. So you're voluntarily helping us out, and you're making this happen is going to benefit so many people that you don't realize that you even are.
I was just lucky that I knew a guy. That's really all it was. I mean, all the credit really goes to Tony Parkhurst.
Yep.
Because he's the one that really made it happen for us.
Yep. And I know you were super close to him and looked up to him. And
yeah. No, he really was like a dad to me. He was a good man.
Yeah. Again, I've seen that video of the Beasts of Burden from the Marine Corps, and he's in a lot of the videos. If you get to see any of them from there, he's in all of them. But what a good dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We're trying to do as many rides as we can right now, and it's at the St. Paul Rodeo, or not St. Paul Rodeo. I'm sorry, the Sisters Rodeo on Saturday night. I worked overtime, And it was crazy because it's tough to, like, Katie and I are funding this. Just I work overtime and paid for all this tack and stuff. You know, we're not funded by anybody.
Right.
And so the president of the rodeo happened to be talking to Kirsten Oshner, who's one of our pro staffers, and they wanted to. Harrison was going to go out and auction off a quilt. And they kind of were trying to figure out who they wanted to. And I was just joking. And I said, hey, you know, Frontline Outfitting. And I got a second to just tell them about it. And they raised, I believe, $6,800 for us.
Holy smokes.
At the auction at Sisters Rodeo Saturday night. And I don't even know what to say. I'm floored.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
No,
it's crazy.
Fortunately for us, we live in an area where that type of stuff is really supported.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep. Well, and just be able to, you know, for me, you know, I didn't, in a lot of ways in my life, I never really was able to turn around and look in the mirror and deal with crap.
Right.
You know, we got crap. And this last year, I've started to finally deal with the crap. And it's sad that I'm 50, that I feel like I wasted tons of time of figuring that out. But, you know, this is going to be an amazing way to show people that we do care about those that are serving and have served. And I don't know, it's just an awesome thing. And I hope it goes forever. And
yeah, me too. I hope it's something that we can build upon, you know, and get groups of people to come and do that. It'd be so cool to have a group of, like, you know, 10 to 15 first responders or vets, and get them out there and just let them be animals a little bit.
Be free.
Yeah.
If you can just give them that freedom and just, like you said, get that reset or
there's no
start that fire back in there again.
There's no judgment there.
No.
You're all going through shit.
Yep.
And you can joke about it in really weird ways that most people don't understand.
Right.
And that helps so much.
Yeah.
And if you try and joke like that with normal people, they're like, call this guy in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. 100%. No, I agree. It is a funny thing, but, you know, you spend so much time, whether in a unit with people or, you know, I've done 25 years with different groups of people. I've spent more time with them than I ever did with my family. Mm-hmm. You know, and the bonds there are just deep. So it's I don't know, it just means a lot to be able to give something back.
Yeah, it's because those people that you're working with, they know what you're going through.
Yeah.
They understand it because they're living it with you.
Yep.
And it really is a crazy bond. It's a bond, like I said, I don't really talk to too many of my friends anymore from the Marine Corps. But when we do talk, it's like,
it's meaningful.
Well, and it's like we never even stop talking.
Yep.
We just pick up.
Yep.
You know, we're able to, and like I know that if I called any one of them and I really needed it, they'd be here.
Yep.
In a heartbeat. I know they would.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for you being put in my life and making what you think maybe wasn't a big thing, a huge thing. And we wouldn't be here sitting here today doing this if it wasn't for what you've gone through and where you served and the contacts you had. We wouldn't be here.
I appreciate it. Hopefully I can get up here and teach those guys how to pack a little bit too. That'd be fun.
It will be fun. And
they can pack all their own gear. And we'll treat them just like the Marines. If that load rolls, you got to carry it.
That'll be good.
That was a fun rule we had. So we had a rule that I don't care what you bring. Bring anything you want as long as it's underweight. And your load doesn't roll. If your load rolls 3 times, you carry your stuff the rest of the time. And, you know, we're out for 6 nights and we move probably 60 miles. Probably move about anywhere between 8 to 11 miles a day. And, you know, so the cadre, we had any meal we wanted. Sometimes we'd have 2. And we'd pack coolers and stoves and like bacon and eggs and pancake mix and all the things.
Yeah.
And we'd be up there right by the High Line in the morning as these Marines are eating their half-cooked, freeze-dried MRE, and we're grilling up bacon and making steaks.
Because you wouldn't let your load roll.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Even if it did roll, we're still not carrying it.
Right.
We're going to put it back on the mule.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was a good time. Bridgeport was, it's a hidden gem. If you're a single Marine, and you love being outside and being miserable, you need to go check that place out. If you're married, avoid it. Because it really is hard on your marriage. It really, truly is. Get out of that mindset of, my career is so important, because the reality of it is the people that are going through that time with you in your life are still there when that part is over. The Marine Corps doesn't care anymore. They don't care about you. You're done. You're just a number to them. And if you sacrifice that and you don't focus on your family, they're not going to be there for you when you get out. And you're going to be in a really, really bad spot. Or it might show up later on in your marriage. Yeah. Things will come back and get you. So if you're in and you're serving, or you're a first responder, please take this to heart. Focus on your family. It's the most important thing that you have.
Hell yeah.
100%. So anyway.
Thank you, buddy. This has been awesome, and I love you, and thank you for your service and just your heart, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.